or grow it. From the Stash Podcast.
This episode is brought to you by AC Infinity. Check out their Cloud Ray Gen 2 oscillating clip fan. Their next-gen clip fan has been re-engineered to provide a long-lasting motor and customizable airflow for all stages of your plant's growth cycle. It features 10 speeds and 10 dynamic wind modes to simulate outdoor airflow and links with UIS controllers for Wi-Fi app control. Click the link in the description section below so you can learn more about their Cloud Ray clip fans, and the discount code THESTASH15 works on both Amazon and their website, acinfinity.com.
Growers who are looking for that secret sauce usually are just missing something from their garden. And to help with that, we bring you the Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Stash Blend brings beneficial bacteria, silicon, seaweed, humic acid, and has enough macronutrition to help lower the dosages of your base feed too. Unleash your plant's true potential with Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Available at Growers House.
Banger.
Welcome back.
Another hot topic.
We're here from the Stash.
Another one,
Hot
man.
Topic. Remember Hot Topic?
Yeah. Nope.
What a weird store.
Never
Like, that was the place where you go get pants with the chains that hang off the back. I know a lot of people rock that, and that was cool.
That was me.
But you go in there, and there's also really scary shit in certain sections. So you'd be like,
The store hot topic. Okay, now I'm following.
Oh.
yeah,
No.
classic. Man.
We had a San Francisco. Did you guys have those?
San Francisco. That was probably the pride story.
It was where it's like everything was kind of kosher up front, but the deeper you went into the store, the crazier it got. It was like, is this legal? Yeah.
Very San Francisco.
Yeah, that's what we had up here in Canada, right? And you guys probably had like a Toronto's down there or something.
No.
Yeah, no, I just made that up.
We didn't give a shit enough for that.
I just made that up. That's good.
Michigan takes it. Michigan's just like, nah, we're Canadian enough, but we'll run with it.
You ever been through a Michigan's?
Man, the Michigans, we don't have as many issues until you get down to the Californias.
Yeah, the San Francisco.
And I mean, at least right now, from what I'm hearing, I saw on Tea with P that the LA Times went ahead and got some products from some legal stores, went and tested them, and multiple came back positive for pesticides. And legal product, which is crazy. Because, again, the amount of scrutiny that most deal with, and a lot of people don't think it happens, but again, unless you've been on the other side, you see there is some corruption. You know, knowing people and having friendships can help you get through things, but the amount of testing that goes into any legal product is absolutely insane compared to what home grows deal with. But somehow, some way, they still keep coming up with some funky ass like every single day. I don't know how.
It's wild.
But
Maybe things are slipping through the cracks, apparently. You know, maybe there's some people getting paid a little bit more in the testing centers to push stuff through. I don't know. To be honest, this is a story I don't have much knowledge on. I've been kind of, I don't say ignoring the story. I've just been too busy to really pay attention to it. I know you guys have a lot of knowledge on it, so I might be asking you questions throughout the episode here. But man, it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? To know that the dispensary that you're going to, where you think is safe, has safe products to consume, ends up not being it. Like, what the heck?
That's why it needs to be at CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid. Right? Big Pharma? I think that's the goal, man. Like, I put out a video out. I put out a video out that says essentially, I'm skeptical of all of it, that I feel like this is propaganda to make it so that the government is able to say, hey, California can't even take care of their people. The big, and this is old people's mentality, but California is the best place for everybody knows that. So then they're going to say, hey, you can't trust them. You need the FDA to come in and help. You'd never deal with this dealing with Rite Aid, or we have Rite Aid here. I don't know if everyone else does, CVS or the Walgreens or your local Walmart, but you will from your local dispensary because they're not regulated properly and you can't trust them. Part of me just feels like that's what it is. And even if it isn't, it's to the point where this is a few cases, a few bad apples. But then there was it Catalyst CEO? The guy's name? What's the dude's name?
John Elliott.
John Elliott. He went and did his own test because he has these products at his shop. And he's like, well, what the hell? He was real adamant and aggressive at first. And then he tests them. He's like, oh, wow. Nothing came back positive.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, so again, it's how did some of the same batch, because this is supposed to be the same batch data, and the the governing body there in California, just like in Michigan, they force you to put when it was harvested, when it was tested, and they have to be on the labels, right? But somehow, some way, these products were not testing positive. So is it that there was trace amount of residual pesticides that came through and got into these products and there weren't in others? Or is this a hit piece? Part of me thinks I don't trust the media. LA Times, who they're affiliated with, I learned more on Tea with P about ownership and things like that. There's some things that are just a little bit sketchy to me. And I've always been not trusting of the media way prior to, pandemic stuff and any of that. For me, it was since I was in 5th grade. I remember 9/11. That was, for me, was my biggest, I don't trust anything. And it's in this case, now it's my our plant that people are coming after essentially. And I feel like the timing is weird. The fact that we go into Schedule 3 and then this comes up. It's a perfect storm to get the people to believe it. Because for me, just like Chris said, I'm skeptical of the dispensary. And I always have been, but for quality, but now I am for safety.
And what a great conversation this is going to be. For those that have no idea what we're talking about, the LA Times dropped an article on June 14th titled LA's Dirty Secret About Legal Weed, something along those lines.
No, it's How Dirty Is Your Weed? A joint investigation finds high levels of pesticides in products. I pulled up the article.
Yes, and it was essentially a joint venture, or joint investigation between the LA Times and Weed Week, which is another publication website that has a podcast and so on and so forth. I did a little deep diving because I kind of wanted to see who and what had any gain to get from this kind of article, and I couldn't find anything immediately from my limited findings. However, Week and LA Times went to various dispensaries throughout California, legal dispensaries, and purchased product varying from flower, rosin, and carts, and found that I believe it was 27 of the 42 samples were found to be positive for levels in sometimes 2,000 times the amount that's either legal and or substances that were entirely banned outright in the United States. And they were
25 of 42, correction.
Thank you. 25 of 42 samples came back positive for pesticides. And so they released this article, and there's a number of high quality or large brands that are named in this article. Everyone from Stizzy to Backpack Boys, West Coast Cure, Juice. There's a few, and I'm not too familiar with all of them because I'm north of the border and we don't have any of them up here. So it kind of took the community by storm in regards to how this could even happen, particularly in California, as Rob stated, have some of the highest regulations in regards to agriculture, pesticides, use of pesticides, consumers, and so on and so forth. And this Mr. Elliott from Catalyst Dispensaries or Flower, Catalyst, he decided he was going to take samples of his own because he owns a dispensary of all the brands mentioned in that article, and he was going to get them tested himself. And as Rob mentioned, those tests came back negative. Not a single one of those carts tested,
not a near nutter,
positive, if you will, did not test positive for anything illegal, any pesticides or anything that was listed in that article. So it kind of poses the question in regards to what's going on here? What happened? The common argument is, well, this is California. They have the highest standard of regulations in regards to pesticides. But what's not mentioned is that California has not updated those regulations since 2018. So Stizzy's comment, their rebuttal or comment statement, thank you, to the press was, we abide by all the laws and regulations stated and set forward by the government. They're not lying. They are 100% correct. However, there are a number of pesticides that have been created and found and smuggled into the United States, particularly from Asia, that are not China, that are not listed in those regulations pre-2018. So there are pesticides out there that people are using that are just simply not regulated. And in some cases have been banned in the United States pre-2008. So There's
and completely banned in other countries.
There's a legal,
they've never been allowed in other countries.
Right. There's a legal aspect to this where, yeah, they didn't break the law, but there's a moral aspect to it as well. If the tests from the LA Times is correct. And that's where he kind of poses the question, like, which labs did these tests? We know in California, you can pay for results. This is a no-brainer. You can pay for people to make numbers look better, right? And I'm not going to get into it because, you know, the moment we start throwing out names, that's how when we start looking at lawsuits. But it's not a secret. So we know that you can pay for tests. So who's paying for tests and who isn't? And who's right and who's wrong is really where we're at.
And what labs are they going to also? Is who's checking the labs? That's sometimes what I wonder too. We've had brands out here in Michigan that have gotten in trouble, and it's a weird situation. So like Veritas Labs, for example, they had a situation where they were allegedly fudging the THC results and some other things for certain brands and then weren't for others based on allegedly being paid. Well, then it came out that they didn't, and they're suing the Michigan government. No one talks about that portion. They just talk about the first portion, which was the big news article that came out saying that Veritas Labs, you know, is sketchy and scamming. And I believe they passed even other things for heavy metal testing that they shouldn't have. But then it comes out that they didn't. So it's like, who do you believe? He said, she said is what we're at this point. It's the same thing with this situation with the LA Times. It's he said, she said. So it really, for me, is prime example why you should grow your own and just not worry about it. Just like if you're saying you're buying your fruits and vegetables from the stand at Walmart, yeah, it's affordable. Yeah, you can get it. It's there. But don't be upset if you end up having a recall for pesticides or E. coli and some random stuff with your lettuce. Like this stuff happens a lot. And I think that's the scary part.
Well, some people might be listening to this and say, pesticides, big deal. What's the concern? You know, I go to the grocery store. There's a area with organic, which allegedly doesn't really use the pesticides, the harmful stuff, right? And then there's a massive section of produce that does use pesticides, and we consume them. You know, that people are like, I consume them, no big deal. I paid for those pesticides. I'm going to eat them, you know. But in reality, you know, those pesticides, those contaminants include chemicals.
It's my pesticide, and I'm going to eat it.
But they, you know, these contaminants include chemicals tied to cancer. And I'm reading this off the article: cancer, liver failure, thyroid disease, genetic and neurologic harm to users and unborn children. So if you're pregnant consuming these things, it could be harming your unborn child. So like, this is a big deal, right? It's, you know,
well, some lighting the flame when you're smoking the flower can literally create an effect that could straight up create a gas to kill you, a cyanide from it, which is nuts, dude. Like, it depends on the pesticide and how the chemical reaction comes into play. So this is a serious thing. It's not just people saying, ew, brother. It really boils down to health of the consumer. And when you go to the dispensary, as a lot of those people initially were medical patients, you expect it to be healthy enough for you to consume. Now, when we're smoking flower, we're thinking we'll burn it off. But again, that combustibility with the pesticide can result in a seriously harmful effect. So it's a real concern. I think my big thing I want to bring up is, what about all of us home growers? We don't get anything tested. Most of us don't. You know, back when it was caregivers being able to supply dispos, I would go get my products tested. But all you were testing for was for heavy metals and simple pesticides, but mainly it was getting your THC results, you know? So now it as home growers who are doing organic growing, one thing people don't talk about is the amount of heavy metals in organic substance. And I think that's where, when you see a failed test for a commercial grow, you're immediately saying, nasty, just harmful weed. They don't know what they're doing. But then you think about it, look at what is coming up positive. In this case, pesticides, horrible. Some cases it's high microbial count, which could come from a variety of things. It may not even be the flower itself. It could have been on your gloves from touching a trim bin. And then the sample got that, they tested it, and boom, high microbials. There's a variety of things that come into place, with heavy metals, especially being for us home growers. We don't get it tested, so we don't know what we're consuming in the sense of how bad it is for us versus somebody who's claiming they're doing clean product. A lot of times those are synthetic, crazy enough.
Yeah.
So
that's a legitimate
You guys ever got
concern.
your stuff tested?
That's a legitimate concern. No.
They don't have testing
So-
available locally, unfortunately. I think that's a big miss. I mean, they need to have local
That's
testing
huge.
available to home
Financially
growers,
even.
not just there's testing for commercial facilities, but they'll deny any home growers. You have to have a license in order to get testing, apparently, or whatever. So
But what if you want to do it for yourself?
that's how it is in my state. I don't know. My state isn't cool on some things.
And then again, this kind of plays into the idea. Let's put on our hats for a second here, boys. Squeaky, squeaky.
I keep
This
it on.
kind
I
of
got
plays.
my keep on.
This,
Did foil.
this plays into the idea that they make it very difficult to grow your own, and not just difficult, but the insecurities or the unknowns that come along with it. That you can't test your own, you can't get quality sources of genetics or the things to sustain it.
You can't trust store-bought pesticides that are made for this plant.
Still federally illegal. It's like, wait a second. So it's like, yeah, go ahead. It's like they put a piece of steak inside of a pen of hyenas, and they're like, go ahead, that's your steak, you can have it. But it's like there's something going to happen to you once you get a hold of it. The thing that I particularly take issue with is that who benefits from an article like this? This is what I have to question, because why? Because then naturally I'm like, well, why would the LA Times want to damage the reputation? Because if these tests from Catalyst are coming back zero, then why? And the reality is once you dive into who owns the LA Times, it's a biotech billionaire who's working on pharmaceuticals. Go figure. And I'm not saying that this, he has any influence on the stories or so on and so forth, but it sure seems convenient that we take an attack at our plant, and it would only then benefit the pharmaceutical companies, right? Why would you get your stuff from a local dispensary, some guy who doesn't know anything, when you can get it from us, a trusted lab who has sanitary means and quality control methods that nobody else can beat? I don't know. And they've got the money, they got the resources to market that to as many people as possible. And Ma, Pa, Nancy, they're going to the store being like, let's go get that London drugs, because that's what I know. That's where I get my Tylenol and my lorazepam and all. It's happening. It's literally saw the rescheduling of seeing this plant go to may have medicinal purposes to already an attack on like the legal recreational market. I don't think it's a coincidence myself.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, you look at, so I guess it's different in California, but in Michigan, you can publicly access in Michigan.gov access to approved and non-approved pesticides. They give you the reason why and everything, like Promax and certain things I remember using in the past aren't available in your TerraClean. It's interesting to see, but it's just, it boils down to they need to put exactly what it is. And if they're not updating since 2018, that's honestly, it's as much fault to California or to the state regulators as it is to the growers who think they're using this product. Because again, a lot of these people who run these places, I mean, of all the consultations I've done and places I've worked for and everything I've done from the commercial space, I've met literally two that consume the product, that are into this space, who give a shit to this community. The rest are just vultures, and they don't care.
If they knew and you knew that they were using this kind of pesticide, would you consume the product?
Hell no.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, these people, they don't even know. They're not doing anything to be negative on it. They're just looking at the list that's available by the government that tells you what you can and can't use, and they're just following those guidelines. So it really does boil down to, the fault is at the commercial grow, but it's at the regulation too. And that's where, if it is true, there is grounds to say that self-regulation isn't working properly. If they won't let us regulate ourselves, then why are they going to let the commercial grows do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we can't, as home growers, have some sort of market to work in, and they have proper testing for our own product, then why should they? And I know it sounds selfish, but in the same sense, what makes them any better? Because it's proving that now, if there's product coming out that's got pesticides in it in California, of all places, I don't trust it anywhere. It's just, my skepticism is on both sides. I don't trust the article, and I don't trust the dispensary. Or the dispensary doesn't know, they're just buying it. But I don't trust the testing.
Trust no one.
Trust nobody. So if you're looking at doing something, let's say for the purpose of a pesticide, what's some things that you guys have used in your home grow section of an IPM that's been something that you know to be, or that you think is safe?
Here's the, the funny thing is though, is like, I was literally trying to think of this as like, can we apply that same method to a commercial operation? Because,
No, that's what I'm saying is a lot of times it's not allowed. We somehow could still buy the product for our home grow from a grow store.
I was thinking, just quality control, first of all, is number one. Don't come in and out of your grow space without, proper clothing, proper attire. Don't be coming in and out with the same shoes. These kind of things are number one. Like, that has to be number one. And that involves doing nothing to the plant yet, right? But there's other natural methods in terms of, you can use like vinegar to, if you've got like a thrips issue, that'll help too. But I'm just trying to think on a commercial level, what can you use or do if that's going to avoid having to use anything at all?
Natural processes, natural things like geranol, peppermint oil, rosemary oil.
These are what I
natural
use.
Things, but these are things that, well, they could use them also in these places, but they're not as kill it quick, get it fast. It's preventative. And most of these people is they don't have a regular, most of these grows, unless they have the Athena program or something where a consultant is coming in and holding their hand, so to speak. A lot of them don't have a proper IPM program in place. So in that case, they're going to bring something like Azimax or neem oil or something like that, but you can't use these in a lot of commercial facilities. So it becomes the natural things. And I do know Athena doesn't sponsor this channel, but Athena has, their product has, I believe, citric acid, peppermint oil, lemongrass, and geranium oil. So that's all natural stuff, are just pre-mixed together. And I think that's the big difference is the brands that are having issues, instead of just calling it a wash and getting rid of the product, they wanted to save it. And I've seen it time and time again to people with powdery mildew, with all sorts of different stuff, and they'll think they'll just distill it. But if you have a certain pesticide, if it's soluble, it can still go through the distillation process crazy enough. Small trace amounts can still. And that's where the commercial grows oftentimes will do whatever they can to keep that product. The home grow, we'll throw it away if it has some herms. You know what I'm saying? Some nanners, it's like, cut it down, it's done. If it's too short or squat, like certain things, like I feel like that's the difference, is because it's not a cash-based system for most of us. We want a good product, so we don't run into these issues. But I feel like a lot of people would be really surprised to see the products that they use that are banned from certain commercial facilities, or the product, the byproduct to make it. Essentially, it really boils down to just trying to avoid these situations, of course. But if you're dealing with a fungicide or a pesticide, you want to go natural as much as possible. When you go with a harsher chemical like what Eagle 20 will provide for a fungicide, that is harsh. It'll kill you. It's been known to lead to, it's a carcinogen essentially that doesn't flush out of your plant, and it'll stay all the way through. So instead of trying to save the fungus issue, it's better off to either do preventative measures or just kill the plants off, because this kind of stuff happens and it could ruin your reputation forever. Backpack boys have their street reputation and everything, but I know there's a lot of people now who are like, whoa, this is bullshit. I'm not getting any of their products, because somebody said they got it from their store. The LA Times guy tweeted to him, he's like, brother, I got it from your place. It's like, damn. What are you going to say about that,
That Eagle 20, man, is no joke. That was used a lot back in the day, and awareness has been spread and people don't use it as much anymore. But I forget who told me the story, but they had mentioned that a close friend of theirs used Eagle 20 for many, many years, and he was consuming. He ended up dying like in his late 40s or something like that because of whatever is in Eagle 20 that is harmful for him. So it's tough, man. It's really tough to really be able to look through some of these things and trying to see if it is safe or not. I personally use Mammoth Can Control, and it clearly lists on the label what's in there. So there's got a corn oil, thyme oil, oleic acid is another thing that has in there. So it clearly labels what's in there. I also use the Amazing Dr. Zymes, and I try to look up to see what's in the Amazing Dr. Zymes. It works so well. all I can find says it contains organic materials, citric acid, and other ingredients. So like I can't really find a good list of all the things that's included. I just hope that there's nothing harmful in that. Now it says that it's all natural and blah, blah, blah. So you just got to be careful. And I don't know, in this case for me, I'm just hoping for the best with the amazing Dr. Zymes.
Well, the main thing is you want to avoid is the myclobutano. And that's what's in the Eagle 20. And that's still in some other fungicides as well. But that's the main product that when you put the spark to it, it could create a carcinogen. And it could potentially create like a cyanide effect, I guess. So it really makes it so just looking at the bottle and saying it does X, Y, Z isn't enough. You need to know the ingredients. Oftentimes when you look at a bottle and it says it's this, this, and this, and then the rest, and other ingredients, it's like food coloring and water. You know what I'm saying? And you look at Mighty, used to be Mighty Wash. It's like just a little bit of the product that you need and then a bunch of water and pink dye.
That's another one that I think had harmful stuff in there. Mighty Wash.
Yeah, they had to change the whole formula at a certain point. That's why they're just Mighty and not Mighty Wash.
Wow.
It's just a lot of these brands will, and it's allegedly. Somebody in the chat, if you're watching, correct me if I'm wrong and share some factual stuff, not just no, you're right. But that's where it's easy to go in the grocery store days. Maybe it's not now, but to go into the grocery store days and to just see the product there and say, I'm looking for a fungicide, I'm looking for a pesticide, and just grabbing something that says effective, kills eggs, but you got to really look at what's in there and know the chemicals. And even if you can't say it like I couldn't, Google it, look it up, find some details about it, because maybe somebody hasn't gotten busted yet in California and it hasn't come out yet. Because again, like P brought up, a great point is that 2018 was the last time some of these were updated. Just do the math. It's like the amount of chemicals and products that have come out in the past year is insane, let alone the past 5, 6, 7. Like the time flies by and you don't realize how many of these products are made by the same big corporation and are just putting another chemical you've never heard of in there that's an alternative and it'll have the same effect. But the commercial growers should know better. You're running a business. The masses look to you. They look to the state to be able to control and regulate it. So they're the game, potentially.
Then the government can't keep up, right? Like, sure, there's no excuse for them not updating the pesticide list since 2018, right? I mean, that needs to be something that's updated every year to be up to date.
They're lazy. Government employees are lazy. At all.
It reminds me of like research chemicals, and I don't want to get off topics too much.
Talking like LSD,
research chemicals,
dude. There was an explosion of research chemicals. You dealt with that too, eh?
Well, I didn't really experiment with that stuff, but I know people who have, and it's like these things are being created so quickly that the government can't keep up with it as far as identifying it and then outlawing it or whatever. So it seems kind of like the same thing here with the pesticides, and they're just not keeping up with it.
No, they don't. That's why you think they should understand that and make it easier for people to grow their own, because it shouldn't be a wild, wild west out there in regards to the product that the people are getting their hands on. It's not like that for tomatoes. It's not like that for produce. There's heavy regulations, and the moment, like, you can get a salmonella or what, maybe salmonella is not the right one, from like lettuce or whatever recall, and the chicken that's danced with salad lettuce, manila. And so salad salmonella. Them raw lettuce heads, but
E. coli
E. coli. That's the one. I knew something was off about this. I caught an STD. I can't figure it out.
It was the chicken.
It was the cabbage, dear. The idea though is that in vegetation or in produce, that recall can happen like that. And people would hear about it within days, right? So things do move fast when we have to make it move fast. And I think we just need to make it move fast for this. Let people grow their own, shed all the stupid restrictions on it, and just let the people grow.
Was there a recall for this? That's actually, the one thing we didn't mention.
There's actually a story that published yesterday in regards to a product pulled in LA in regards to contamination.
And it's from this group of products that were
probably not.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's my point.
I didn't actually
follow the money, follow the trails, and you'll be like, damn. So wait, there was this damning article that came out, but yet these products weren't pulled from the shelves? They should be pulled from the shelves, right? Oh, wait. Right.
Well, no, because
6 feet. 6 feet. Wear your mask.
because it's well, because it's not against the law, right? It's
No, but if it's a banned pesticide that
wasn't
they're
though,
claiming
right?
it might. Yeah, no, they're claiming it was. They're saying it's from Eagle 20.
Oh, it was on the list
saying-
from 2018.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
all right. I missed that.
that's-
I thought the ones that they found weren't actually on the list at all.
No, that's
there
the
was-
thing is, but
there
you
was-
can.
Okay, all right.
Well, there's stuff that you can get through. That's what I was saying though. Is there's new chemicals that may mask these things, just like how MMA fighters or like Ryan Garcia took a GNC supplement that had aspirin in it potentially. Some say he did, some say he didn't. But it's easy to hide and mask these things and to not put it in that you were saying that is and other ingredients because it's such a micro amount that they're legally allowed to put it through without saying it's something.
Kind of like
They don't
stash
have to
blend.
put it
Kind
on
of like
right.
stash blend, right? We
Just like that, we put the microblue.
the
No, we don't put
mycorrhizae. We have mycorrhizae,
mycorrhizae.
mycorrhizae in stash blend, but because it's at such minute amounts, we can't put it on the label in regards to how much is in there
Yeah,
because it
well, that's the
doesn't
thing,
meet
it's-
regulations. You can't advertise
No,
that it's
no.
in the. Oh, I'm
we
sorry.
do in
Well,
the
in
U.S.
Canada.
It's Canada where we have to.
Yeah, in Canada,
we're working on Canada, and that's
Fucking
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
But
Again, when it's California or when it's Canada or when it's Colorado, these are the C's. It's like it's tougher to get through most times. So when a situation like this happens, red flags pop up heavily for me where I'm like, oh, it's going down. But then when there's no recalls on the products, when there's no repercussions from the DCC against these places, and while it's still fresh, there should be more to it than because you could put a story out and say anything. You could say some wild
I do.
and it's just saying, hey, it's just an opinion, or like, here's what we found. You can't say we didn't find it.
Yep.
You know, it's like, but it's only if it's it's slanderous in a sense, but it's not if they have a factual evidence in the lab that backs it. So this is a tough one.
The biggest thing for me too, and I kind of say this in my video in regards to the whole situation and the update video, is that, you know, the Catalyst CEO, you know, and bless his soul, he was very passionate in regards to getting in regards to getting tests. He was throwing every brand on blast in regards to if you did this, you're out. You're done. You get a one-time thing. You know, if I find you're dirty, then it's done. It's out. And then he made 2, maybe even 3 videos about that. And then when it came to the results of the tests being negative, you had to find him admitting that not admitting, but find him stating that the tests came back negative in someone else's live stream. And then that was the piece of content that was reposted on Twitter. So I was like,
you'd think you would have had a bunch of videos promoting it too.
you
like,
would
hey,
think that what happened here? Where's the outrage that someone's that LA Times and are taking advantage of our community like this? If this is fake news, where's the outrage? There isn't any.
That's
there
valid
isn't
point too.
Any, and it's like
there's a screenshot of someone else's thing.
Yeah.
Screen recording. Yeah.
Why? Because if it was me,
Why come?
I personally would have been running with the story that this. I'd be pissed, but I have
10 videos.
I have no skin in the game in regards to what's what and who's right, because I can't take, like you said, we trust no one, Christopher. So
I trust nothing.
I don't know where to land, except for if you can, you got to grow your own, folks.
Grow your own and use Stash
Grow
Blend.
your own.
Stashblend.com.
Yeah, you can even got a
NAC
promo code.
Infinity products. Just gonna code the Stash 15. No, but for real, like it's better to control your own product, grow your own food, whatever you can do, man. The difference is growing herb you can do a lot easier in the crib with a 2x2 or 4x4 tent, the kit, and all this and that and the other thing. You can do the same thing with food. Believe it or not,
and
you really can.
And I also, like, really quick too, I think I know I can speak for myself. I know some quality dispensary owners out there. I know some quality producers out there, craft producers.
Shout out to Black Tie, Chris.
Shout out to Black Tie. Shout out to Cypress. These are gardens that or operations that I've walked through. I've met the quote unquote master grower. It's a weird term, but it's what they use out here. And these guys are passionate, man. These guys are excited about the product. They're excited about their flowers. They aren't cutting corners. There are people doing that. They're doing it. They're doing their thing and they're doing it well. And it's like, I don't want people to be turned off by the legal market, because the reality is not everybody can grow their own. Some people are going to be dependent upon the system, and that's why a good quality legal system should exist. So, but
and there's bad apples.
There's going to be, but I want to like kind of reassure people that there are quality actors out there that do have the patients in mind. They do have the best of the product in mind, and that these are the people that will have longevity on the game. The ones that stick through it, keep pushing, and keep having core values and morals that are consistent with humanity.
Yeah, no, agreed, man. I think that's the biggest thing is knowing where you're getting the product from. When you're dealing with a brand deal person, like some famous product, as any person you could think of, Gilly the Kid's got one coming out. He's not growing it. There's a company who's brought him the best version of it to check out. Like Hulk Hogan's got the Hell Yeah butter, and Ric Flair, like all these people got their products. They're not growing it. So know that who the producer is of the product. Like when we were in Vegas, it was Redwood, a cultivation that was growing every celebrity product, and it was all mids. And so I'm like, all right, well, if it's cultivated by these guys, I'm going to avoid that. There's a few other brands that have had amazing product in their white label, and I'm like, damn, like there's this like Golden Michigan or something that grows for 2 other random brand deals, and if they're growing it, it slaps. But then when they have a different company that grows their stuff, it's just average. It just depends on who's producing it, the cultivator. And it's the same with when you're getting genetics. It's like you just got to know your stuff, man. Know everything. Because if you're getting something that maybe has the pesticide situation or it has been heavy metalled out like crazy, you're going to get to the point where you're getting poisoned by something that you trusted and that you gave money to. You don't want to do that because the government already does it to us with our food. Allegedly. Don't kill me.
Think critically.
Yeah, boys,
that's all.
Just
think critically.
That's it.
Follow the chain.
Think critically.
Figure out where your stuff's coming from.
If you're a consumer, consume, properly. Do it right.
Good point, Ron.
Yeah. If you guys got anything else to add to this conversation, drop it below. And what do you think about testing for home growers? Do you think you should be able to have access to testing your own product? Would that make sense? You feel like it should be a normal standard that if you have a state that allows you to consume or a province that, well, I could get my product third-party tested. Let us know below in the comment section. But with that being said, it's your boy Rob, Pigeon 420, Mr. Grow It. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
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 If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to support us, go to patreon.com/fromthestash. There are different tiers that you can sign up for and get access to different things such as early releases, uncensored content. You can get producer credits on our episodes, and you can get a free merch item like the shirt I'm wearing right here. 100% of the funds raised through Patreon goes right back into the podcast. We'll also put a link to the Patreon down in the YouTube description section below. Thank you so much for your support.